Andronetalks.
This show is made possible by Andronetalksnews.com. Please visit www.andronetalksnews.com for continuously updated alternative news, current events, and disclosure.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Andronetalks News. So many things are happening. I know a lot of people haven't heard from me. I have been doing a lot of work just to kind of get a better assessment of what's happening. And I'm sure you're concerned about what's happening and also what Peter the Insider might have to say. And we will bring him in to make a comment because it seems like things have ramped up quite a bit. And so the first thing that I'm going to address is that the issue, the very heated issue that's going on in the Middle East, I just want to remind people this conflict has been going on for thousands of years. Thousands of years. There's been problems there. This is the cradle of civilization. This is the location where the sons of Abraham, Isaac and Ishmael, in the conflict of the separation between the mother, the actual wife of Abraham, which was Sarah, and her handmaid who had the first son. So since all the way back in that time, there has been this conflict. So it is common knowledge amongst anyone that would want to stir up an enormous war to bring in everyone possible to create, especially with everyone having access, how can I say it? Not a majority, but not just the world powers having very advanced weaponry, not just nuclear, but even advanced weapons that most people are not aware that are available right now and that are being used. So let's take a deeper look at this, the agitators and what is actually happening. So we know that the agendas from the WEF is to depopulate. We can start there. We know that they have bosses, and behind them there are other bosses, and so it is a plethora of those that are trying to eliminate the population of humans. Because it's not just humans here. There are others here, and they want to push us out of the way. So let's not accept that. We don't consent or agree. I've been informed that people have implied or made comments because Peter talks quite a bit about the Nazi agendas or realities. We are specifically talking about different timelines and what happens in different timelines, not necessarily denying. I think someone accused Peter of being a Holocaust denier, which is absolutely absurd. And I actually, contacted a few friends and I said, people that are generally intelligent and assess things. And I said, do you think that there's any possibility that a person could misconstrue what Peter's saying to interpret that he is anti any group in particular? And they said, no, it's really evident to us that what Peter's talking about is what's happening on other timelines. And so if a person's not open to that idea, and if the whole idea that something else exists in another timeline that makes it look derogatory toward Peter and then takes that and magnifies it another way, it doesn't make any sense other than, it's just nasty. It's taking advantage of the fact that Peter's first language is not English, and the way he describes things is not really crystal clear to some people. But I'm going to clarify that right now. Peter and I, we are open to all different types of people. The ACIO is not exclusive to one particular group. we talk about different agendas, and we're not against any group in particular. Just stating the information that we have. So if there's any gray area where people are not sure, and if I have to write it in bold letters on the website, I will, for people to understand. Because, you know, if they can get rid of us and prevent us from sharing information that's helping the population, then they'll be happy, because maybe they want terrible things to happen, and maybe those that are doing that are also in alliance with the bad outcome for humanity. So, you know, I think you don't talk about people in a negative way, particularly if you don't have any factual evidence. So it's not really a good practice. All right, so here is the news that came out. In any sense of the issue, war is not good. It's not going to benefit anyone. There are thousands and thousands of people involved. Someone pointed out, oh, well, there's, you know, dual citizenship and a leaning. Yes, but our cities are filled with all different types of people. And so here is Andronetalks news website. If you haven't been there, it might be helpful to keep up with everything that's going on right now. And so as we look at what has just happened, here's one of the articles. I mean, it's really a scary thing when you think about how they are trying to bring in the agenda. I'm not saying the Jewish or the Arabic people, but those powers that be that want to see a war. They make money off the war, but even more so, as I said earlier, WEF will gain what they are looking for, and that's the depopulation. So let's be all the wiser about what's happening. I also want to point out, here's the article on CERN. And this is another interesting article, that they are bringing in those energies that are not in agreement with humanity. So let's keep that in mind and voice our discontent with any of these agendas, and continue to be aware of what's going on around us. Here's one of the agendas that they have. But look at this. The whole issue about CO2. Starvation caused Earth's greatest extinction, almost ending life. But they want us to get rid of it all. What I'm saying is everything is counterintuitive. When I said others are here, here's another article to confirm that they found a chupacabra. I said there are things down there in South America that may be creating an environment of those wanting to not be around that area. And so, yeah, these things can terrorize people. It's kind of creepy looking if you take a look at the article a little bit more in depth. This is the counter attack, halting electricity. I could see, you know, I can understand if you're living in a nation and you get attacked, there are different things that you're going to do to survive. However, the part of the agenda is to shut down the grid. And I thought that was interesting as well. And so the Pentagon takes a stance. And now money has gone there. Money has gone to the Ukraine. Money keeps going out to many different things. And the American people keep working and supporting all of these different agendas, out of pocket, by the way. So, because every year we're required to pay taxes plus regular taxes and so forth. So, anyhow, so here is another thing that just happened. It's interesting, all these things happening at the same time. I don't know how many people actually heard about this, but this also took some lives and also made a lot of people probably homeless because people that were in basement apartments here, everything got flooded out and it was ruined. And I'm sure it would take a while or quite a bit of money to rebuild those places. So I'm sure that a lot of people were, sent out, especially with a lot of immigrants coming in and needing spaces to live. So they just cut out a lot of those spaces. But I talked to some people that live in New York and they said the water or the rain was coming in sideways. I'll tell you, I've lived close enough to New York all of my life, and I have never heard or seen anything like this. It's only happened within the past couple of years that suddenly there are these enormous floods that had never existed prior to this time, and no one has any explanation for it. I don't know if anyone around the world would even care. And I don't know. I would like to think so. Here is something else that happened. This is all happening at the same time. So the attack in Israel, the flood. There was also a strong presence of the Russian military in Mexico. And there was also, and the Chinese were also in the parade, and there wasn't so much outcry about it. So it looks like our neighbors are not feeling very friendly, considering that Russia has posed us as being an enemy after what's happening with the UN and everyone supporting the Ukraine. And I understand that, but sometimes I feel that we need to not ignore all these different things that are happening around us. In this article by David Avocado Wolf, he shows that Congress has been buying war stocks. So everybody knows about it. Everyone knows, and if you are very attuned to what the Congress is doing or what the government is investing in, then you would see that they were anticipating a lot of this. I'm also going to bring up that talking about being in the know, Ridley Scott, sometimes we talk about movies and filmmakers, they all know what's going to happen. And this movie that's coming up is called Ethereum, and it's about the infinite machine and Bitcoin. The second, Russo's book details how the second largest cryptocurrency can be right from when it was first conceptualized by a 19-year-old Vitalik Buterin. Now, there's also an additional article.
Look it up. NSA created SHA-256, which is the algorithmic procedure behind Bitcoin. And everyone said, I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Then I'm coming across Twitter, and here is a paper from 1996. And the paper was called How to Make a Mint, the Cryptography of Anonymous Electric Cash.
I could play this whole thing. I don't think I would get in trouble for sharing it. I think that they would appreciate that I was sharing the information, but we will have this connected below for you to review it. So I just wanted to share that with you. More and more information is coming out. That means that it's more dangerous for us because you know what the trend is. When there is a form of disclosure, then what happens? They have to create a diversion. And here's another diversion. Massive emergency alert tests will sound alarms. This article came out in August 26, 2023. I heard someone say, oh, look at this individual. I don't know who he is, but he knew all about this massive emergency alert test. And no, the information's been out there for a while. So especially if you're working for FEMA or know people that'll work for FEMA, then that information was available for a couple months now. No one really knew that far. They would have been talking about it in July then, or June. Or maybe even before then. So what I thought was interesting is there was a lot of people very, very frightened by that alarm. And people that did not have the jab, and they were really upset, thinking that something bad was going to happen to them, and you know, put it in your microwave, do this and that. And I don't believe in fear. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. But I'm going to add something else, that there are waves, there are scalar, there are things that are going on that we don't hear about that are probably more damaging than what they did here. It's not what they do. It's bad what they do openly, but even worse, what they're doing when people don't know what's happening. They have no idea. And that's the type of thing that I'm talking about. I think there was even a comment about The Simpsons discussing it in one of their shows, and they try to debunk it because they're getting nervous about The Simpsons disclosing information. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of them. That's if they're still in power. So I guess we're questioning, well, how in the world does any of this stuff happen? You know, how is this all happening? And as I've said before, here are people, this is 9/18/23, they're digging up ancient tombs. They're releasing the energies, these elite lords from 3,000 years ago in Peru, South America, predates the Inca Empire. And they do this in Egypt all the time. Every time they open up a grave, they unleash some kind of energy on the earth. And then I'm wondering, you know, why I see this or that. And then I find out what they had just opened up. I mean, they had a whole thing of cats one time, that like mummified cats. And then we had these covaderos that look like cats. You know, it was like the whole thing was just really, really weird. Here's something else that, you know, I'm pretty sure was another visitation from Draconid, the area of Draconis. And we had a whole bunch of them just show up. They have them as probably a light show, you know, 10 shooting stars are expected every hour. Meteor shower. Very likely accompanied by something more. And so people are seeing it, I guess. There we go. And they don't actually have to show themselves. They know how to shapeshift and change. This has been going on for thousands and thousands of years as well. Don't underestimate the extraterrestrials, the UAPs. A lot of people are being told that a lot of this stuff isn't coming, but then we have an event like this right around the same time. What was the date that this happened? October 6th. October 7th is when the attack happened. So, coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. Here's another one. Egyptologists, they just keep opening things up. After uncovering a door to ancient underworld hidden inside a tomb, just keep unleashing the underworld with people that they're qualified in their field in archaeology, but they're not qualified in dealing with these spirits that they're unleashing on the earth, and also timeline shifts that we're dealing with. So, that article came out 23 hours ago. Also, 14,000-year-old golden figures depicting Norse gods. It all comes together on top of what's happening here in CERN and bringing in different things. People could say, oh, it's the end days. This is normal. We're expecting everything to crash. All our banking system, everything that we know will be changed, will be brought back a couple of 100 years. We will have an EMP. We'll have all of these terrible things. We're going to have an apocalypse. Some people really want an apocalypse. Some people really want to see everyone, a large portion of the Earth population depleted. Many of those people are underground right now. Here, like I said, this WEF. So, and we don't really know the good guys or the bad guys. It seems like a lot of the leadership is being puppeted in many different ways. So here again, as I said from the very beginning, we are not against any one group of people. We are here for all of humanity, but if they no longer have the highest intention for humanity, then we don't have to listen to them. We don't have to obey them. We don't have to align with them. And we don't have to agree with their agendas. And we don't have to just accept that this is our destiny. So I want you to all stand strong. And remember, there is nothing more powerful than the God source and your intentions. If humanity chooses to not consent to what they're giving as an option, we don't have to consent to it. And that's the bottom line. So stay strong, hold your intentions. Don't be in fear. Don't worry. If you were at home and the alarm went off, and it went off around me twice, even though I shut off my phone all the way. It's persistent. They want to think that they're in charge. I believe that they're not, but humanity continues to agree with many of the agendas, and then it makes it more difficult. Doesn't have to be that difficult. We have more than one timeline. They couldn't do a World War III, or a total war, as Peter calls it, over in Russia and the Ukraine. So they want to create another one, another timeline introduced in the Middle East. And then if they can, it looks like another one that they're trying to create at our borders, whatever is happening with the presence of the East being south of us, and whether it's China and Russia having a presence there, and also, maybe guiding, manipulating, and doing whatever that they do there. So that's three different timelines where humanity gets wiped out because we're dealing with very strong weaponry at this time. Let's be all the wiser. We don't consent to any three timelines. We don't consent to an apocalypse. We don't consent to an outcome that is not for the benefit of humanity. And that's it for tonight. Have a good day.